Welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. Good morning. It's Monday morning. Not a lot of happy faces. And fair enough, because we've dropped more points. And we said this was a big one. And we do have a big one later this week. And we are going to look at all that because, while a Premier League final doesn't exist, some games do feel like they have that kind of edge. And that is, the Man City game on Wednesday. But we'll leave that to the end of the show. Got to talk about Brentford. And as our good colleague Cass was saying in the background, can't really talk about Brentford without talking about, the mess that is the PGMOL, that is referees, that is, the injustice that not just Arsenal but a lot of clubs face this weekend. So we're going to tackle all of that. Dare I ask how everyone is? I will anyway. How are you all?
I'm all right, mate.
Why are you? Lee Judges he's gonna knock you out.
He is. I get why Lee's angry, and Lee should be angry, but we're gonna win the league anyway. So this is all part of the journey.
Yes,
how are you, Lee?
I'm all right. I'm absolutely fuming. What's happened over the last couple of days? I'll be honest.
Not all right.
I'm fuming about the way Arsenal played, but I'm going to be really honest about it. Sometimes you don't play well, and you get a 1-0 win, and people turn around and say that's the sign of a good team. That's the sign of champions. We was denied that. Denied to say that.
Round of applause for Stricto as well, who's joined us. Welcome.
Oh, Stricto.
Oh yeah, welcome, brother. Welcome.
I've just appeared.
Well, I wanted to give everyone a line, and then I realised Lee was ready to get straight stuck in.
No, sorry, Stricto.
Welcome, Stricto. No, look.
I'm used to Lee taking the limelight.
Superstar Lee Judges.
I'll tell you what, I love Stricto, but he's always he actually does bully me. I'm going to actually say it. And if you see the size of him, I sort of let him off a bit, like I sort of let him off.
That's how I feel about you, Lee.
Yeah, I know. Like, we've got another bully in the classroom now. Like, it's not good. It's not good.
You treat me like shit, but I just sort of let you have it because you're Lee Judges.
The judge.
Well, look, I'm glad we've been able to share a few laughs and smiles early on because a lot of this is going to be. I can only speak for myself. It's going to be very ranty. It's going to be. I'm going to try and make sense of the situation. We're going to try and analyze as best as possible. We're going to try and, have a proper discussion. It's very difficult when 2 days on, that frustration is still kind of there. And it is less at the team now. I've sort of made my peace with the team and their performance, so we have to discuss it. It is really just the absolute farce that is, the refereeing and the state of it in this country. I uploaded a video on my channel. And the title was, "When will football address their rules and their referees?" And I did that on the back of the Wolves goal that was disallowed in the FA Cup against Liverpool. Do you remember that? They missed a player who basically played them all onside. And I just thought, I've had enough. I can't believe I've seen this. Granted, it's quite rare that they miss an offside like that. But, I just can't believe the state of affairs. Guess what? About 3-4 weeks later, Arsenal-Brentford, crucial goal. And again, they forget to do what they did. And again, I've name dropped him twice now, but Cass, who does a lot of work behind the scenes at AFTV, him and I were talking in the studio, and he was making the point as we were getting ready for this podcast that when we were trying to decipher what had happened and why that Norgard offside, wasn't called out, we kind of said, well, he must be on. Because then I said the only way that he's offside and they've allowed it to stand is if they basically focus too much on what happened at the back post with Ivan Toney and Zinchenko and all that they forgot to check for the offside. Anyway, a little tweet comes out from the PGMOL after all the reports. Oh, it's deleted itself. That's nice. It was on my phone, but essentially saying Lee Mason, is or hasn't apologized or something. Lee Mason was confirmed to have, forgotten to check for an offside. Howard Webb has called Brighton and Arsenal to apologise for the incorrect decisions. And it's like, okay, great, thanks for the apology. What do we do with that now? Take it.
I would have loved to hear that phone call. At the end of the day, bro, that apology is like medicine after death. It's too late. doesn't mean nothing.
Great analogy.
To be honest with
Great
you,
analogy.
Yeah.
it doesn't mean absolutely nothing. At the end of the day, I say this, yeah, they've got to be a system that the FA or the PGMOL got to come out with now. Retrospectively, if a decision like that happens, surely they got to look a way at fixing that. So whether if you was in a winning position and you ended up drawing, then maybe they give you a retrospective point. And if you was in a losing position, it's gone out of my head now. But they've got to find a way to make this right. The apologies don't mean nothing. Do you understand? If we end up losing the title based on this one decision, then the club, I don't know, maybe we've got to take legal action. We've got to take legal action. It's not just Arsenal. It's for every other team in the league, because this will happen to another team in the league. You know, I don't want people to be saying, "Well, you only care because it's your team." Well, to a degree, yeah, but it happened to Brighton too. Do you
Happened to
understand?
Wolves. Happened
To
to
Wolves.
Chelsea.
Well, yeah.
It was Saturday was probably the worst day of refereeing performances in Premier League history. I actually think they got 4 massive decisions very, very clearly wrong. And I couldn't believe, I was trying to think to myself, what's their mindset? What's their justification? What am I missing that can maybe lead to them making that decision? Go on, Lee.
What Sixto says there, I agree with certain thing. But over the years, before VAR was introduced, there's been many cases when decisions have gone wrong, and it may have cost you the league, it may have cost you whatever. So they bring in VAR to get rid of the human error. That's what VAR is for.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are now with VAR, human error. So what is the point of it? It's ruining the game. And even when you get the decisions, you're not getting them right. And listen, I was fuming with it, with the game against Wolves and Liverpool. Not because it wasn't even my team, because it's not right. It's not the right decision for football. It's not the right for the game and the integrity and what I'm looking at and enjoying. Brentford, for instance, waited 4 minutes before they could celebrate that goal. Whether you think it's right or whether it was wrong, you can't celebrate games of football games now. Secondly, my biggest bugbear of it all now is I pay, and I'm going to say this now, and I know people watching on telly pay through Sky. I get that. I pay a lot of money to go and watch at Arsenal. I'm sitting there for 4 minutes and people are telling me that it's offside on WhatsApp. I have not got a clue what is going on as a paying fan to watch a game of football. Whether you think VAR is right or VAR is wrong, that is not acceptable for the paying fan. And my next point, and this is the point that's really bugging me now, and I think it was the West Ham game when Martinelli scored in the just before half time. They spent 4.5 minutes on it before they actually come up with it that, yes, it flicked his head and it was offside. They done everything in their power to make sure that goal was offside. Saturday, they couldn't be bothered. Now, I don't care what anybody says. Lee Mason, right? That's him finished. If he ever referees or is on a VAR game again, Arsenal should refuse to go out on that pitch because it's not fair on the players and it's certainly not fair on me that he is in charge again because this is I get it. We can turn around and say he was the one that at Manchester United already this season, which he's been told was wrong, and he's done it again. So that's him gone. And Howard Webb, I'm sorry, this is on your watch. It's embarrassing. You must go as well because this is not acceptable. It's not, but it's a human error. It's incompetence. And if it's not incompetence, it's corrupt. One or the other now, because to forget to put the lines in for that goal there is incredible, and I don't know how you can defend that.
Jordan?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with much of what the boys have said there. You guys, well, you, James, and Lee will both know that I have no time for Arsenal fans after a game, wow, crying over every decision that goes against Arsenal. I'm fed up of hearing Arsenal fans crying about offsides, and that was a penalty. We know who they are, and I just have no time for it. And I'll call them out. This is the one time where the Arsenal fan base who were complaining about this decision, and by the way, I don't think the fan base have been complaining as much as they should have, which is ironic, because normally when decisions go against us and they're actually correct decisions, the fan base are in outrage. But this time, when there should be an outrage, they've been pretty calm. Lee's probably the first fan that I've heard that's been quite incandescent and justifiably so. This is the first time where I'm with the Arsenal fan base on this one, because it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. Yeah. As Lee says, the whole point of VAR, and for me, I don't have a problem with referees hands on cards on the table. I have no issue with referees getting decisions wrong, even against my team. I can accept that. We're human beings. It should have been a penalty. He didn't give it. Arsenal fans will cry about it. I can accept it. We are humans. However, VAR was introduced to eradicate the howlers. The howlers are the ones where I do think, nah, you can't get away with that one. How can the referee say it's human error when the whole point of technology is to eradicate human error? That is the whole, as Lisa, that is the whole point. I'm with Lee. I'm not one that comes for referees. I don't bash referees. Lee Mason can't referee again this season. At least. He can't ref another game this season. He has to be off duty for the rest of the season. That is twice now. Old Trafford and now against Brentford. These are not mistakes. These are howlers. These are howlers. So for me, I'm with the Arsenal fan base in that it's not acceptable. However, two things I would offer to balance it. One, I'm not a fan of VAR. I never wanted VAR in, and if I could drop it tomorrow, I'd drop it. For financial reasons, they won't drop it. No. They've just spent too much money on it. They're not going to drop it. It's not going anywhere. But we did get 2 goals against Manchester United that were legitimate, and because of VAR, were given. The Aubameyang goal about 2 years ago at Old Trafford.
Oh, yeah.
That was VAR'd, and it was the correct decision. I think if VAR wasn't there, that goal's not given. And this season, Eddie Nketiah against Manchester United. Again, I'm not sure if without VAR, I don't think they give that goal. So VAR does do some good. However, the howlers are really, really bad. My thing, and just to wrap, my thing is, I don't think, where I'm not with the Arsenal fans, where I disagree with Stricto is, I don't want to hear this thing of, if we lose the league by 2 points, it's because of that game. I'm not having it. Because, and we'll get to the Brentford game in a second, there were still 20 minutes to score another goal. There's still 15 games, 16 games to try and make up the difference. So I'm not having this. If we don't win the league, we're blaming it on that game, on that decision. I'm not having that.
Do you know what, Jordan?
Go on, Victor, go
on. Yeah, I think I'll accept what you said. I'm not having it myself, but I think it's just that blatant, obvious. Like Lee said, like if this was in another country, if this was like out of the top 5 leagues in Europe, we would all be calling corruption on this decision. And not only the fact is more than just once by the same guy. It's starting to look deliberate.
So let's explore that. If we're saying there's possible corruption, what are we suggesting is their agenda? What is there to be gained by them being corrupt?
I mean, I'm not just calling it straight corruption. I'm saying if this was another country out of the European top 5 leagues, people would say, well, yeah, envelopes have been exchanged, so on and so.
On what basis, though? On trying to understand on what basis? If it was in Italy,
that's not for me to. I don't know.
So Jordan, I want to let me. I think I can answer that for you, and I think so. And I want to stress, words like corruption and all that. they're not. I'm not saying anyone's making those allegations, but I get what Stricto's saying. You know, maybe that word would be thrown around. It has been online, whatever, that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that that's what I think it is. But to answer what I think you're asking, Jordan, is what would there to be gained from it? I think, and again, this point's been made on Twitter, it's more about protecting a title race, protecting a sense of competitiveness. That's where I think there might be. No, I don't think there might be. But I'm saying if there were to be some sort of manipulation of the 50-50, send them that way or send them this way, I think that would be the reason it happens. But I just choose to believe that I want to believe that there's too much integrity for that. That I just don't want to believe that happens, in my opinion. But maybe I'm being naive. But I just think, you know, I think it's just total and utter incompetence.
I think it's incompetence.
They're just awful.
I don't think corruption. I don't think it's corruption. Go on, Lee, sorry.
So no, I will say this. I agree with you. I don't think it is corruption, but you can't dismiss it when you get snooker players who are having a great living, taking bribes. You don't, you know, like footballers having bets, you know, like, you know, and things like that. So there's always something that can happen. Now, I feel that, you know, there's corruption with Juventus, you know, have been done for it. Like, you know, there's been match fixing in English football going years ago. Like, obviously there's not the money involved. But when you look at it, people go, oh, well, you know, he ain't going to do it because he's got millions. I don't know why people do it, but they do it. And there's a history of it in sport. You know what I mean? Like, so what you have to do is now the conspiracy. I don't agree. You know, who benefits from Arsenal drawing yesterday? Two teams benefit from it: Manchester United and Manchester City. Where does Lee Mason come from?
Not say Manchester.
He comes from Manchester, Bolton. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything in it, but when you look at it like that, and you look at that decision, and he says, and people come out and say he's forgot to do it, then I'm going to how can you forget it?
The reason why
2 plus 2 equals 4. That's what Lee just done. He just done maths. 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a stretch, personally. I get
why as well, but you can see why.
The optics. I get why we come to that conclusion. Yeah. But if he was a Man United fan, for example, I don't know what team he supports.
No,
a draw for Arsenal. I think it's incompetence. I think, if anything, and I don't know this for sure, but surely if the Premier League did want, if it was in the Premier League's interest to keep the title race alive, I would argue it's within the Premier League's interest to have Arsenal win the Premier League. To have different winners is better for the Premier League. So if there was,
I'll ask you this question. I'll ask you this question, and I'll say this sincerely, right? Yeah, right. Every referee, yeah, supports a team. Let's get that right, like, yeah. So, for instance, if I'm a referee, right, and I'm refereeing Spurs versus Liverpool, for instance, right, and I make that decision, oh, I forgot to put the lines in, right? People are going to know that I'm an Arsenal fan, and they're going to say he's done that deliberately for Spurs because he wants Spurs to lose. I might not have done, but there's that element of it. And what I'm saying is, when you look at it, and I'll be really honest with you, the Lee Mason one against Manchester United, I can get why he said that. I can get my head around that and say there's not biasness because I can see that it might have been a foul. I can see it weren't. But when you then turn around to me and say, right, I forgot, after 4 minutes looking at an offside, which was an offside, by the way, let's face it now, when you look at it, it was offside. He found a reason not to give it offside. And there's one that's blatantly offside and he forgets what he's to do it. It's not acceptable. And you're going to then get things come like this, Jordan, like, you know what I mean? Like, why have you forgot to do that? That's not what is my answer to him.
That is the question you've got to ask. So it goes back to a point you made, Lee, about, because I want to take this more into the direction of the incompetence. Because I understand, look, we've got to ask the question, right? People are talking about it online. We're here to, to somewhat with our own opinions, have a look at the mood of the fans and reflect that a little bit. So I understand why we're talking about these kind of big allegations and stuff. But for me, it really, really comes down to incompetence more than anything. It goes back to what you said, Lee, earlier, which is, the whole looking to rule out any goal possible. Now, actually, from Brentford's perspective, forget the Norgard offside. They were looking for any reason, or Lee Mason was looking for any reason to overturn the decision Brentford's way by looking for a potential foul / offside at the back post when the cross first came in. I mean, it was rubbish. There was nothing in it. I don't know. Like, I was watching anything. I can't really see where the problem is, but he's taken so long on that I think he's thought, well, we got to get on with it. Like, I've checked it. I can't see a reason to get, and he's forgotten to then go to the actual main bit, because it was crossed into the box, then there was another header. And I think he's just, honestly, I think it was just shit. I think it was just shit officiating all round. And I think he forgot because he was trying so hard to overrule it before. They forgot to look at the main bit.
I agree. I think it's incompetence. And just kind of my final thing in regards to possible, bias. You could argue that if he's from Bolton, he may hate Manchester United and Manchester City.
Of course, I get that.
He may hate those two clubs. So I think we need to be very, very careful about
you can see why people say these things.
I can, but I think it's a bit lazy. Just he's from that part of the country, therefore he wants Manchester United and Manchester to win. So I think I
don't think it's lazy. I don't think it's lazy. I think it's more than possible. Why not?
This is the point I was making first. Let's find out who he supports.
Okay, but we're never going to find out who he supports. We're never going to find out who he supports. I don't think they make that open while they're still involved in football. But this is the point I was making. I wasn't calling it like out corruption. But what I'm saying is, if this happened, let me just use Nigeria for example, right? If this happened one of the league games in Nigeria, no one would batter an eyelid and say X, Y, and Z. Oh, money has been exchanged. I'm not making the allegation here that any of that has happened. But what I'm saying is, I'm putting a microscope to say, hold on, why can we say this happens elsewhere, but then turn around and say, well, that will never happen with us? Why is that such an impossible? Why is that such an impossible position?
It's not impossible. It's not impossible, Stricto. But I think
that's what everyone is. Everyone's basically dismissed that. We've seen. Let me just. Sorry, Jordan. Sorry to cut you off. Well, let's go back to Lance Armstrong, the cyclist. Right, for years this guy was doping, doing all sorts of stuff in open view, and just because of the size of the tournament, the brand of the tournament, no one ever dared call it out for what was actually happening until it was actually called out. So I'm not saying for 1 minute that this is what is happening, but my mind is open. I have an open mind.
But you've undone your own point, Districtor, because the reason why in the nations that you've named there would be suspicion is because in those footballing countries there is a recent history of corruption. When was the last time in British
corruption
football,
here too?
When was the last big British footballing scandal with corruption?
What I mean, not in the Premier League, but
exactly. In Italy, it'll be legitimate. Because there's a history of them being corrupt. So therefore, when something out of the box happens, I think it's legitimate to say, what's happening over there? But when a country where there's not a history of corruption, Jordan, I think it's a stretch.
Jordan, before we know of the history, it had to happen first. There had to be the first time it happened, right?
Yeah.
So just like if you're arrested and it's your first arrest, and now you've got a history of being arrested, like, it's got to be a first time something's got to happen, right? So before it happened in Italy, it never happened, right? So here we are in the Premier League now, and I still have to clarify, this is not what I'm saying, but I'm keeping an open mind. I really am keeping an open mind.
What we also saw, I understand the debate here, I do, but what we also saw, maybe half an hour earlier in one of the other 3 o'clock kickoffs, was the VAR draw the line to the wrong Palace defender, and Brighton denied a goal. They are just awful at what they do. Souček has one save of the season, and they didn't give a penalty. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Wolves, Lemina, ran over from the footage I've seen. Pretty,
didn't do
okay,
nothing, did
in a bit of protest or whatever. Got a second yellow card and sent off.
Harry Kane does that every week.
I cannot believe what I have seen this weekend.
I'm
They
with
gave
you.
that Jack Grealish penalty, albeit I've only seen it once or twice.
Oh, that
Didn't
was
look a
horrible.
penalty to me. I cannot believe what I'm seeing in this league. I can't believe the decisions they are giving.
But James, this has been going on for years. Poor referee.
So tear it apart.
I go back to Old
Tear
Trafford.
it all down and start again. They're awful at what they do.
I go back to Old Trafford when we lost Manchester United that day. The refereeing that day was a disgrace. It was a disgrace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 10, 15 years later, the person that's running, that was refereeing that game was the head of the referees. What chance have you got? You know what I mean? When you've got incompetence from referees and then they're getting the job, And I look at a lot of things in the game. A penalty, for instance, is not fact, right? It's an opinion. You don't know if it's a penalty or not. It's still a fact. It's not a fact. There's two facts in football, right? There's two facts, and this is the thing. Is there any facts or arguments on goal line technology? I see a goal the other day. Someone got one knocked off the line.
Yeah, Solanke for Bournemouth.
Newcastle. Yeah, that's right. No arguments or whatever. We was in the studio where the buzzer hasn't gone off. When you look at it, it's fact the ball has not gone over the line. The other fact in football is offside or not, because you can do it. And they've got that wrong. They've got a fact wrong. It's like, let's be honest, it's like them saying in at VAR, the ball doesn't go over the line and they give it, right? There will be murder because it's a fact decision. There's a lot of things in football that are opinions. We can all sit here today and go, well, that was a penalty. Jordan would turn around and go, I don't think it was. So if I'm refereeing that game, I'm going to give a penalty. If Jordan's refereeing that game, he's not going to give a penalty. That has been going on in football for years and years, and will never change, because that is what it is. There's an opinion in football all around.
It's subjective. Yeah.
It's subjective, exactly right. We've got an opinion. I think Arsenal are the best team in the league. You've got Man City fans saying that they're the best, because it's opinions. There's a lot of football, and everything about football is about opinions. But when you are dealing with facts and you're getting it wrong, something has got to be done. And I was looking for how I feel about it, and Stricto's right. It's like giving a medicine out to a dead. But it's an apology does not make this right. It does not. For me, when they come out and say, "Oh, we get an apology today," oh, that's all right. We'll carry on with the season now. It's not right. It is not right.
I think.
Sorry, Jordan. I think that is Arsenal's approach. I think Arsenal and. I think it came through Charles Watts. I think, Arsenal are trying to just sort of go, well, look, it's happened now. On we go. And I think that's the right approach from the club. I understand the whole, they've got to take action and they've got to push it, and I understand. But ultimately, we have a title to chase, and the other thing I'd say is that the reason I'm talking more about the refereeing decisions across the whole weekend is I think Brentford can count themselves really unlucky to have had that Mbemo goal. I know he blew the whistle before he put it in the back of the net, to be fair, so you don't know if Ramsdale would have done better, but I think that was really soft on Gabriel, and Brentford could easier, but I don't think it's a foul. There's a little bit of a shirt pull, but there's always a little bit of something, and Gabriel had a bit, I think that's just what it is. I don't think it's a foul. So what I'd say, and this is now going to transition nicely into the Brentford game, but the one thing I'd say is I think it was a fair result on the weekend. I actually think they had the better chances, but we had a lot more of the play. Go on, Jordan.
So, sorry, James, before we move on to the actual game, I just got two quick final points. I think, and this is where the people watching, I think, could help us out here. Those that are watching this, that watch a lot of European football, I'd love to know why on the continent VAR is used successfully and it's not here. Like, what are they doing in Germany, in Italy, in other countries? That, because maybe they are having these. Maybe there's a, I don't know, Empoli fan TV or a Sassuolo fan TV channel. I don't know, and they're having the same debate every single weekend. I don't know, but I don't think in Holland,
Fourever Atalanta.
Yeah, maybe they are having that debate, but I don't think they are. So if people that watch European football can tell us, how is it that they've managed to implement VAR seemingly so smoothly? Because I know in Germany the first year it was bad, but it's fine there now. We're still, this is the 4th year of VAR now?
The World
5th
Cup's
year?
always been good. The World Cup's had it twice, and I think they've nailed it at both tournaments.
So do they
Champions League as well? Same with Champions League.
I agree. So what is happening is unique to Britain. Why are referees here getting it so badly wrong? And my second final point on this would be, I thought Mikel Arteta's reaction was quite telling, in that he was quite calm. And I wonder if he was calm because A, he's been getting a bit of heat recently about his reactions, and he's been told to calm down by the club, maybe. Or B, if even the managers are like, I'm over it now. They almost expect VAR to mess up. And if that is the case, that's even more worrying. Because if the players and the managers have lost faith in officiating, then we're in trouble. Because Arteta was visibly calm. Not calm, but he wasn't. You know
I think it's because Arteta, everything he does, I think we get into this whole, everything that managers say is exactly what they mean, blah, blah, blah. And actually, so much of what they do, especially in the media, is to send messages. And I think the message Arteta wanted to send to his team was actually, really, for the chances we conceded, we probably got away with one there.
I agree.
And I want that to be the bigger picture coming out of this game, rather than, okay, VAR didn't do its job. Against Newcastle, where I thought we were very good for a lot of that game, had a lot of chances, he was fighting for every decision because I think he believed his team deserved it. And, of course, the decisions should have gone our way. But I think in this situation, while he'll feel aggrieved, I think he'll also go, Henry missed one from 3-5 yards out, and Tony hit the crossbar from an open goal, and Bemo had the pullback given, and that could have been a goal. We could have been 2-3-0 down in that first half, which is why we've got about half an hour to go. We'll do 15 minutes on each game, Brentford, and then looking ahead at City. But on that Brentford performance, just quickly from me, I mean, on reflection, I thought a first half that had I think I maybe saw it differently to people in the ground. I know Stricker and Lee were there. I thought there was a bit of zip about our passing. I actually thought we looked like we were trying to play with a bit of intensity, but we just lacked anything in the final third, and we looked really poor defensively. It looked like they could. Lee, just keep shaking your head before I've even finished my point.
No, I'm agreeing with you, and
oh right, okay. You look disgusted by what I was saying.
No,
you did, bro. You did.
You look like.
I don't think we was good. I don't think we was good at all. I've got to say that. I'm going to be really honest about it. Forget about what happened in VR. I'm very, very disappointed with the performance.
Yeah,
very, very disappointed, because after the Everton game, I expected a little bit better than what I got. I thought we was poor. I thought we was poor all round. People can turn around and go the Sean Dyche thing and that. We was poor at Everton, but we was poor now at home, and I am now starting to worry about our performances, because I did not see that coming. I thought we would be sharper. I thought we'd be really on it. I thought second half, James, I thought we upped the tempo a little bit and looked at it. But why we didn't have that tempo in the first half, I don't know. And what worries me, I've seen this before with Arsenal under Arteta. Clutch of poor performances after good performances. I remember us beating Man United 1-0 at Old Trafford, and they're not winning for 10 games after that. We've beaten Tottenham, we've beaten Man United, and fantastic performances. And then what I've seen now is a massive, massive drop, massive dip. Manchester City, I didn't see this coming. Even when we lost to Manchester City, I did not see this coming, these performances. And they're different sort of performances to what we get on Wednesday, because I think that Manchester City will come out against us. But I think that other teams have had a look at us now, seen the blueprint, and I was disappointed with the lack of ideas, the lack of movement in the team. I didn't see us scoring, if I'll be honest. It was a good goal in the end, but I didn't see no variation from the manager to change things around. It was more like in hope than anything else. And I'm worried when I see performances like that, if I'll be honest. I was so disappointed with the performance. And I'll be honest, the VAR thing has made it a little bit easier to take, because if that hadn't come in, I don't know really what we'd be talking about today, because it was that poor.
So
Nah,
Jordan,
the VAR's papered over the cracks. Let's not kid
Yeah.
ourselves. I was at the game, sat next to the guy that I usually sit next to, and we just kept looking at each other. Like throughout the first half, I think we probably looked at each other over 1,000 times, and we're not in love. Yeah, we both got our respective partners. Yeah, but we just could just in disbelief every time. It was so lethargic. It was so predictable. It was like Lee said. It was like we've been here before. Like we know how this ends. Do you know what I mean? And it's a very slow car crash where you still feel like you can intervene. Maybe you can still pull the steering wheel one way and, you know, avoid the crash. And I just, oh man, I said in my fan cam, I said, if you looked at the fixtures we had, so if you go from United, Tottenham, and then you look at Everton, and then you kind of tally up how many points you think we would get. And the difficult games was the United, obviously, and the Tottenham game. And we got maximum points for those. And then the two teams, I mean, Brentford are not struggling like Everton, but you would expect if you're trying to win the league, teams like Brentford, you beat. Fair enough, City lost to Brentford, and it might look like I'm being disrespectful to Brentford. But if you want to win the league, you find a way when you're not playing well. You find a way.
you know City's record against Brentford and Everton? One point in 6.
Okay, but they still.
Great point.
Do you know what? Okay, put it like this, right? Put it like this. Teams like City are how many teams are like City in the league? You say 4 or 5 other teams, and then the rest are what you quote unquote beatable, right? So you don't worry about the City games as much because you don't play that kind of team every week, but you play the lesser teams more than you do the upper teams. Like, you know, the teams are the quote unquote elite teams, right? Those you pick up more of your points against teams like Brentford, teams like Everton, teams like Palace, all those kind of teams. But we just didn't have a way, and that was worrying for me. There literally was not a way. How we scored that goal, and it just that we were lucky, bro. That's the end. That's the really like the crux of it. We was lucky in that game. To have VAR distract that performance is those players should be thankful.
Do you know what? I do see it a bit differently, and it might be I might just be way too optimistic here and way too positive. But here's the way I see it. We had a pretty dreadful first half in terms of conceding chances. I think we just that's the thing that worries me is the quality of the chances Brentford had against us. I thought it's like anyone can kind of play through us. That was my most concerning thing. But actually, I thought, all right, but we weathered that. We got through it. By hook or by crook, we got through it. Came out in the second half. Thought a lot more zip to our passing. Early changes. Trossard made a difference. And then you say we couldn't find a way, but we did. We found a way. It was a brilliant ball by Odegaard into Saka. Saka squares it, and what a finish by Trossard, by the way. I thought we're going to give him his
harder than what it looks.
Yeah, we're going to give him his praise on tactical insight because I thought Trossard, it is harder than what it wasn't. The goal wasn't in front of him. He actually had to guide it a little bit back towards the direction it came. Lovely finish. So we found a way. And then actually, I thought, for a lot of that second half, I know Tony was winning all his headers and all that, and they were dominating our centre-backs, but actually, I don't think Brentford really did anything that second half. The one time they did, the goal was offside. So I sort of felt like, actually, the first half was awful, and we got away with one, for sure. But I thought the second half was probably as good as you're going to get against a team like Brentford, who, unbeaten in 10 games, have lost one game against the Big Six, which was against Arsenal in that 3-0 defeat, play with a compact midfield 3 and 3 centre-backs as well. You're not going to create a lot of chances. The reason City aren't at their scintillating best, because teams this season are better than ever at closing those spaces and denying chances. Man United have struggled with it, like Leeds in the week. Chelsea have struggled with it recently. Liverpool have struggled with it recently. We've come up against it, but in fairness, we did find a way. it's just how lackadaisical and
James,
lazy
James,
we look at the back.
James, we had 5 minutes additional time, and in those 5 minutes, if I can recall correctly, we probably had 30 seconds of being in the Brentford half. In
But
those
we probably
5.
only had about 2 minutes of football because the referees were a disgrace on that as well.
That
by
was
the
another
way,
thing. It was
I
embarrassing.
know they went up to 97. It should have gone to 100. The amount of stoppages, time wasting was a joke. But I get your point. We didn't do anything to really exert
We
pressure
did
on them.
exactly my point.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. Like, those, I would have expected like a full bombardment in the Brentford half. So
And
you
it
can have
was-
your time wasting in their
Mhm.
half. Time wasting was done in our half. That's when I say
perfect.
we couldn't find a way. That's exactly what those are what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna
No, I
find a
hear
way
you.
to win the league, especially for us that we haven't won in 20 years. And if you look at what we've done so far this season, we've been energetic. We've been off the blocks, really good. Off late, those qualities, those attributes aren't there anymore.
No, I hear you. And the attacking performance was far from perfect. Don't get me wrong. Even in the second half, I thought it was a lot better. I did think there could have been a little bit more. I don't know, a little bit more something, just better quality of shots from outside the area, better set piece delivery, a little bit something to at least work them harder. I agree. But I actually thought Arsenal shown more in that second half than perhaps they're getting a bit of credit for. But Jordan, where are you on it? Because I'm on the camp of there was sort of actually things to be positive about on the attacking side, but defense was shocking. And that doesn't just include the back four. I thought everyone defensively was really poor. Where's the press gone? And the other two are really gutted about the performance. Where are you with it?
It's a good debate. I'll keep my thoughts on the game brief because we need to get onto the preview. I think we were poor. I said after the last game against Everton, Lee said then he was concerned about Arsenal, and I said I wasn't. I'm concerned now, but not because we drew, but it's the performance. I agree with Lee. The performance is what really worries me more than the actual result. I think that I hear what Stritcher was making the point about, and I'm in all my WhatsApp groups, but the point's been made from other Arsenal fans. If you're going to win a league, you've got to beat Brentford at home. Brentford, for me, pound for pound, are the best team in the league. I'll repeat that. Pound for pound, Brentford are the best team in the league this season. They are the best team in the league this season. When you think about their resources...
Oh, sorry. I see what you're saying. Sorry.
They are the best team in the league this season.
I thought you meant like player for player kind of thing, but no, right?
No, of course not.
Yes.
No, of course not.
Pound
for pound, they are the best team in the league.
That's a great point.
You flagged in the last pod, James, they've not been beaten in 11 games. They've got some run going back to October or November, something stupid.
Something like that.
Brentford are not a little man team, bro. Brentford are a proper team. They are handling the big boys and everybody else. If Brentford don't get European football this year, I will be stunned. Now, you can say, yeah, but we're Arsenal, we're at home, we should be winning those games. Brentford are a serious team, bro. They're not a joke team. So there's no shame for me in drawing at home to Brentford. The shame for me comes in, they were the better team. They performed over the 90 minutes better than we did. That's what's more concerned. The draw I can take. We're going to draw games. But the worrying thing for me more so was how we played. One of our hallmarks this season has been how we start games. We started every single game this year on one. Even the Everton game, the first 5 minutes, we were on it. This was the first game I can think of in a long time where we, from the get-go, we weren't on it. So I'm not gonna. If this was a 1-1 draw at home to Wolves, I'm pissed. If it's 1-1 against Villa, I'm pissed. 1-1 against, I don't know, Nottingham Forest, I'm pissed.
So you're not pissed.
Brentford are a serious.
So you're not. You're not. Right.
But I think that the basis of your pissedness, is that even a word? Pissedness. The basis of your
to be pissed.
Yeah, to be pissed, yeah. The basis of yours, I believe, Stricto, is that it was Brentford. If that was 1-1 against Man City, you wouldn't be pissed, would you?
I think I made it clear. I don't think it's Brentford, but I'm saying it's if you want to win the league, you just have to do more. So whether it's Brentford, whether it's Chelsea, you just have to do more.
I reckon if you look back at previous Premier League winners, I reckon February, March, April, they've all dropped points at home to a team on paper they're supposed to beat.
Yeah, I agree, Jordan. You're spot on what you're saying. But what I think we've got the answer with, it's not because it's Brentford. we lost to Manchester United. I was pleased with the performance. Even Newcastle, first 10, 15, 20 minutes, we were stunning and, we could have got, and you come away from that game, we played well. But these last two games, we have not produced, and we've been, I'm going to say it, bullied, out.
Yeah, we've looked weak. I agree with that. We've looked
weak against two teams that are not going to challenge for the major honours.
But that was going to happen. This was always going to happen, guys. We were never going to.
Why should that happen?
Because
Jordan?
no team in the league playing the way we were playing in November all year.
Yeah,
I get that, but I don't like watching my team being out full.
I hear you. I'm with you there. But I think if we think that we're going to sell this second half of the season.
No. Listen, I've been fortunate enough to see titles. Arsenal win titles. I've seen Arsenal get just over the line on titles. I've seen them play invincibles and still have poor performances. I'm going back to the Portsmouth game and all that. They're always there. They're acceptable. Not acceptable, but you know they're going to happen.
It's going to happen, yeah.
It's going to happen. So I'm not worried about. What I'm worried about is now this little clutch of games. It's 3 games without a win, 3 games without really looking like scoring goals, apart from a brilliant bit of play. And that what I will pick up now, because we're going to talk about it now, is the lack of form of certain players going into this big game.
Well, actually, so Lee, sorry to cut you there, because I think that's a key talking point going into the Man City thing and the starting 11 and the form. I just wanted to just add something very quickly, because Jordan, I think you're spot on, right? You're going to have lulls. You're even going to have a little cluster of games where you're not at your best. You might drop some points and all that. And I hear that. There's actually another worrying trend. And again, people watching this might be thinking, James, why are you so positive about the result? It's not that I'm trying to defend the team a little bit, but there is a defensive element that I'm really, really stressed about. If you look at since we've come back from the World Cup, and I go all the way back to that first game, I think Boxing Day against West Ham. West Ham, I thought that first half got in behind far too often. Too many balls over the top, too many times that Saliba and Gabriel were scrambling. And I just thought, didn't look like they were sort of controlling the counter-attack there. Brighton, we were 3-0 up, and Brighton could have equalised in that game, could have come level. The chances they had, they got 2 goals, a goal disallowed. I thought we got lucky in that. Well, a little lucky with the offside. Then you look at Tottenham, the second half of that. Well, Newcastle, cool, we did fine. You look at Tottenham, that second half. Again, Ramsdale comes through man of the match, because ultimately he's had to put out some big saves and have a big performance, even though I thought largely we did really well. Man United, we've conceded 2 goals at home. What came after that? Help me out here. What came after Man United? City, and then Everton, the set pieces, and now this game. So I think you can look at basically all but one of those games since we've come back from the World Cup. Say at times we've looked really defensively fragile. And I think that's the worrying trend. Not so much 2 games without a win. I think that can happen. But really, it's for me that in all 6, 7, 8 games since the World Cup, I think we've looked really shaky at the back.
James, it's been a trend all season.
More so now.
At home.
I thought pre-World Cup, we were far better.
We've dominated most teams at home. Let's be honest. Have we dominated most games at home? We have done. Yeah. We've kept 2 clean sheets all season at home.
Yeah.
And that's Nottingham Forest, who were down at the bottom at the time, and Newcastle, who had no ambition of scoring. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not good enough. Yeah. I've been saying it for weeks, you know what I mean? Like, 3-2 against Liverpool at home, 4-2 against Leicester at home, 3-2 against Manchester United at home. Dominating, and we're letting into. I think we had 70% of the game on Saturday, right? They had 3 golden opportunities to score in 30% play. We've had 70% play and not had that sort of thing. It's worrying. And I'll tell you this why it's worrying, guys, because I wouldn't swap one of our defenders for anybody else. So something's not quite right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
No, go on, Stricto.
Would I mean, we're talking about after the World Cup. What'd you guys make of Saliba after the World Cup?
He's been poor. He's been very poor. Go on, John.
Yeah, Stricter, I think you're totally right to flag Saliba. I was gonna mention him in my kind of preview about the City game. I think he's the most important player on Wednesday. Not Partey, not Saka, not even Nketiah. We need the Saliba we had in October, November, because I think Man City are coming to really cause some problems. I think they're really causing to make a statement, and Haaland's been a bit quiet recently. And I think Pep will be in Haaland's ears saying, this is the game where you announce yourself again as the best striker in Europe. Make a statement, go to the Emirates, go and get 2 goals, go and bat up their defence. Let's get out of there. Let's go top of the league. I think we need Saliba to kind of wake up. We were praising Saliba first half of the season as the best defender in Europe, and he's worth 150 mil. We were gassing him, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. He needs to get some heat now because he's been poor. And I'm not giving him the whole he's young. You lot can do the whole he's young thing. No, we didn't say he's young when we praised him. So now you're in the big boy league, in the big boy team, step up. Yeah, this is the game where we need you to get back to what you were doing. Because the last 4 or 5 games, I don't know what's going, but he's not been the Saliba that we... And you can argue with young players, they have dips. Cool. He was operating at a very high level. And generally, I think he's handled the best centre forwards in the league quite well this season. But he's not come up against Haaland yet. He's not. So I think we need I'm concerned, Strict. I'm concerned, but I believe this is the game.
I think Haaland's more likely to score against us than Tony, who did score. But I don't think Haaland will give the problems that Tony gave.
Maybe not.
Yeah, because Haaland doesn't play that game. Haaland is about percentages around that 6 yard in 18. That's all he cares about. Everyone else do the donkey work for him. But back to what Jordan's saying, I honestly think it's unacceptable that a centre back 6'5" would lose 10 out of 10 aerial duels.
Awful.
I think that needs to be really looked at. 10 out of 10 aerial duels, 6'5". He's taller than Tony.
Yeah.
What is happening? What is happening there? Is your mind not right? Because physically, biologically, you shouldn't lose 10 out of 10. I can lose 10 out of 10 to Tony. Because
I'd get 1. I'd get at least 1.
I reckon I would.
I don't think you would.
I'd get 1 out of 10, James. I'd get 1. Come on, give me 1. Even by luck.
I'm not sure.
So if you're looking at it that way, where you can look at his attributes and then you say, okay, according to his attributes and what he's done all season, 10 out of 10 he shouldn't be doing. So what is it? Is it his mind?
Well, I think it was Gunnerblog that flagged just before that sort of period before he returned to Arsenal and there were questions. I think he said, actually it's gone a little under the radar that he's not the best in the air. Saliba might be 6'4", but his best defending has been that getting in front of players, nicking, basically dealing with it before it's a problem. And just the way he's able to recover when the ball's rolled along the ground and ensure that runners don't get the better of him. It is in the air. He has struggled a little bit.
But James, 10 out of 10, James. 10 out of 10. Stricter's right.
Yeah, fair enough.
10 out of 10.
That's not acceptable.
I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
No.
United have got Martinez. How tall is he? 5'4", 5'6", 7.
4'5" or something.
Right. He's dealing with these kind of situations. Okay, listen here. With Tony, we know what Tony's like in the air. I'm not saying you got to win 10 out of the 10. But at some point, you got to use your brain and say, all right, cool. He's getting the best out of me in the air. So I know what I'll do. I'll sit back and let him win it in the air. So I won't contest it, but I'll just kind of allow him to have it. And I'll pick up any pieces around after the header. But he was contesting 10 out of 10 and lost 10 times.
What was more worrying, and I saw it's an Everton game as well, is we lost the second balls as well. That was the Everton game. We lost. You can lose the first ball, fair enough. We lost all the second balls. That was even more worrying for me. But sorry.
This is what I see on Saliba, right? And we're saying he's lost 10 and that. Did Tony get a kick at Brentford?
No, he didn't.
3-0.
No.
He had him all over it. He was, you know what I mean? Like, he's just dipped in form. It's not like that he can't head the ball. He's just dipped in form since the World Cup.
Of course, he's clearly a good header of the ball.
Yeah. He did play against Haaland as well. He played him in the FA Cup. He came on in the second half, and
he did. You're right.
And he played him well. I think it's concentration levels. I also think it's a different type of defending when you're playing against Haaland, you've got to be on the ball 90 minutes. Defending on Sunday, this is what my problem with it. Defending on Saturday, you're defending a different, like say if you're back to the wall defending away from home, and it's a different defending when you're a team that's on the ascendancy, when you're attacking. It's concentration levels, being right in the moments. You're only going to get 10 moments in the game. You've got to be on those 10 moments, and he wasn't. He's not been on it. He's not been. I blame a little bit on Mikel on this because I think that he come back from the World Cup. He looked a little bit out of shape. Not out of shape, but you know what I mean. Needed a couple of games. Taking him out of 2 games. You know what I mean. Didn't play him against Oxford. Didn't play him against Man City. Keep this kid playing.
Yeah, I
mean,
like
Gabriel playing every minute. You know what I mean. Like, so I do feel that it's been a little bit there. It is a worrying fit. He's not the only one. He's not the only one that's lacking.
That's what's worried.
So going
Shaka
into City, Lee,
you know what I mean? The
going
man
into City, what would you change?
Say again?
Going into City, what would you change? Because you
Nothing.
mentioned the players out of form.
Nothing. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I play the same team. People are going on about Martinelli. Why has Martinelli not done really well tonight? Because they've denied us space behind. Manchester City will give us space behind. What is his asset pace? I feel that we need that. It'd be more important. I would have. I said before the game, didn't I? You know, people bit me head off a little bit. I would have played Trossard on Saturday, and Martinelli. I'll arrested Martinelli. I did say, no, go with the same team. So, you know, we lost to Everton. We draw. You know, keep faith in this team. This team's got us where it's got to it, and I'm going to keep faith in it. Like, you know, if you're dropping Martinelli, why are you dropping Martinelli? Because Trossard's come in, yeah. So why are you not dropping Saliba? Because the next backup is not good enough. Why are you not going to play? Why are you not going to drop Xhaka? Because the next player is not good enough. Like, you know what I mean? But everybody's now on Martinelli. Oh, we've got to get rid of Martinelli because Trossard's playing. That's a bit unfair. Play the same team, see how it goes. That would be my thing. Like that team, by the way, has got us to where we are.
I would rejig it a little bit. So what I would, and it's going to sound crazy, but what I would do is I would get Ben White and Gabriel's partnership back in the middle of the defense. Get Tomiyasu in on the right. That's what I would do, because there's a lot. You know, the worrying thing is not just Martinelli. It's not just Saliba. It's half, or even if not more than half of the team, you know. So maybe something needs to be explored there. Like you can keep the same team, but just jig it around somehow.
But don't you think it sends a really good message from Arteta to stick by those players when they are going through their bad patch? Because we are in a position where we've just had 2 really bad games, and guess what? We're 3 points clear of Man City with a game in hand. A better position we were in before the World Cup.
100%.
So does it not send a really good message to go, I'm backing you guys. Forget that decision at Brentford. All right, went against us. We didn't play great. But this is as close to a Premier League final, apart from maybe the game of the Etihad. We'll see where we are in April, as you're going to get. Because when all is said and done, we drop points and City United have taken advantage. And we lost to Everton the week before. But if we win on Wednesday night, we go 6 points ahead of Man City, with a game in hand against Sean Dyche's Everton on March the 1st, that could put us 9 points going into March and a really crucial part of the season. That would be as good a lead as we've ever had. Yeah. Imagine we're going to March 2nd, 9 points clear of Man City. That would be unbelievable. All said and done, there's a huge opportunity.
We've put ourselves in this position where we can have a little couple of blips. Right, you know what I mean? What could happen in the next couple of weeks? Manchester City can have a blip and drop a few points. Manchester United can, but you know what? They can't afford to. If we carry on like, I don't think it's panic time yet. I really don't.
John,
I think Lee has just stolen my thunder there with the key word going into this game. Don't panic. Don't panic. If I'm Mikel Arteta, don't panic. If Arsenal go, let me give the pessimistic scenario for Wednesday. We go 1-0 down after 5 minutes. Don't panic.
Stop.
The next 10 minutes.
Stop.
No. But I know. Hang on.
I'm shaking at that idea.
I know, bro. I know. But I'm going somewhere. With this. You go 1 after 5 minutes. The next 10 minutes is about, okay, settle, and we get back into the game. Don't panic. It's 0-0 at 80 minutes. They score. Don't panic. There's still, I know, but don't panic. Even 2-0 down in 20 minutes. I say what the point I'm making is there is still time to get back into the game, and also, as I think Lee said earlier on, let's remember why we're where we are. We are a good team. We've done good things. The worst thing we can do on Wednesday is in adversity, panic. It's easy if you go 2-0 up. That's about management then. But if you go 2-0 down, my fear is that they may panic. Don't panic. This is a big game. Big game. Don't get it twisted. However, there's still 15 games to go. There's still time. There's still twists in this title race. I speak about protecting the buffer. The buffer is being eaten away at now. That points buffer that we built up, that's kind of going now. Well, if they win, if Man City win,
when we started off the World Cup, we was only 2 points in front.
If they win on Wednesday, we're level with a game in hand.
Oh yeah, if we were, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
If we lose, I'll be concerned because I think if City go ahead of us, my fear is can we catch them?
So that's when we start panicking. Yeah.
That's then you panic, Lee. Then we panic. Next week's podcast, we panic. Yeah. But for now, whatever happens on Wednesday. Sorry, whatever happens on Wednesday, and us as fans as well. We mustn't panic either. We've been brilliant at the Emirates. If they go a goal down, even 2 goals down, we have to perk them up and believe and make that place a fortress. We can't panic. Whatever happens. And
Jordan,
Arteta's job for me is to get them ready, but also to deal with adversity. If we go a goal down, do what we do. Play how we play. Don't kick it long and panic. Do what we do and what's got us to the top of the league so far.
Jordan, to be fair to you, the City game we played last season, I think, has had a massive influence to how we've played this season.
Totally agree.
That game last season, I don't see anyone who would have given us a chance in the performance that we had last season.
That's where it started.
That was the turning point. That was the turning point to the season we have today. I think Arteta said to them, "You've gone toe-to-toe with the best team in Europe, in the league, and you was unlucky. You could even say you was cheated out of 3 points in that game." And the way I was there, I was there that day. Was there a sending off or a red card or both?
Penalty and a red card, yeah.
Right. And up until that point, everything we did was magnifique. We absolutely was so concentrated. The fans, that the unity of the fans was born that day. They cut the cord for the unity that day. It was the starting point. It was the spark of the season we're having now. If we can go like with football, like with most things, a lot of things are like memory. Muscle memory, like certain things you remember because of your history with it. If we can remember what we did last season, we beaten City. We're beating City. If we go on what we've done last season, 11 versus 11, we're beating City.
I agree, Victor. I agree with you. I think we need a couple of big games, though. One from Saliba we've mentioned. I think Pep will be working on a way to stifle Saka. I've noticed a few teams recently have worked out and have given Saka, a tough time. He's found a way because he's a quality player. I think we need to prepare for them to have something. I think Ake will play left back on Wednesday. I think they'll bring in Ake. Yeah, because I think he locked him down hardcore at the Etihad. I think we need a big game from Martinelli. I think Zinchenko is going to be a big role. I think people talk about, Pep knows Zinchenko. Yeah, but Zinchenko knows Pep teams. He's Pep's team as well, so that works both ways. I think we need Odegaard to be on his job, and I think Nketiah won't get a lot of chances, but the few that he gets, he has to deliver. But I think it all begins with Saliba. I think if Saliba's back to the Saliba that we had a couple of months back, I think we have the basis to be competitive, and that's my final point. We have to be competitive. We can chat about tactics and chances missed and whatever, and ref decisions. From minute one, we have to let Man City know you have come into the Emirates. You are in for a game. Yeah. Every ball we jump for, we have to win. Every tackle, they have to feel it. We have to run hard, track back hard. We have to really make sure that tactically we're on point. But just from a competitive point of view, we match them because they're coming to the Emirates with a bounce. they're coming there looking to make a point. So we've got to let them know, no, this is the Emirates now. Yeah, this is the game we've been waiting for. This is why we're top of the league. Now go back up to Manchester and do what you do.
I'm actually not worried about the team's commitment.
No.
I think that will be there.
God,
I
hope
want,
so.
and this isn't to say that I'm worried about this. The fans have been amazing all season, home and away. And I know we're going to wrap up soon, as I know people have to head off. But I need the Emirates to be just a cauldron.
Yeah,
Like it needs to feel like the game that
It
can
will
win
be.
us the title. Yeah, I think it will be.
One thing I will say this, and I think because we've made it a little bit of doom and gloom, and I'm going to give Mikel and all the Arsenal players a little bit of praise here. Like, what other team would be doing what they're doing with their main man being out? Like, take Harry Kane out of Tottenham, take Haaland out of Man City, take that. We are doing this without our main striker at this moment in time, and we're still top of the league. If we win on Wednesday night, we can go 6 points clear without our main man, because I'm telling you this now, he is our main man. We would have beaten Brentford on Saturday with him in the team, because I go back to the Wolves game just before the World Cup. Oh, yeah. We were struggling that day, and a little bit of Jesus magic opened them up, and we win the game 2-0 in the end, don't we? He has been a big loss to us. So praise Eddie, praise everybody at the club, because no other team would be doing what they're doing without their main man missing. We've got our main man missing at this moment in time.
Yep. Let's remind ourselves of the prediction table. Jordan did go for that tactical 1-1.
I just want to
and he give it in the group chat. Can you believe that?
No. I want to say to all the people listening, all the people listening on the podcast, this podcast, they can't see, but I'm not smiling because I will be accused of reveling in Arsenal dropping points. I want to say my face is straight. You can confirm I'm not smiling. I'm not happy we drew the game, but I did get the prediction right once again. So I wanted to make that in the group chat.
You let us know.
That's debatable. What happens in the group chat stays in the group chat.
I mean, I did spot you in a club.
I don't know what they were for, Jordan. You asshole. It was not like
number one.
It was not crying images, was it, or anything like that? It was eyes. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I've got it right.
No comment, Lee. No comment. No comment.
That's the fact. The only time you ain't.
When he said the title race was on, he didn't mean the Premier League one.
Come on! I'm coming for you, Lee. I'm coming for you.
So, for everyone who is listening on audio platforms, Turkish is top on 28 points, Lee on 26, Jordan on 25, and
a point behind
off the table. I don't know what you're talking about. But you know what? I'd rather back my team and be bottom. The worst is most of my drop points are because I didn't back the team, and now I've started backing them. They're disappointing me. So there you go. That teaches you a lesson. But let's do some predictions and quick comments of the week. Stricto, what are you going for?
Predictions. 2-1
to the Arsenal.
I'm leaving it there. I'm not saying I'm joking. Yeah, 2-1 to the Arsenal.
Now Turkish has sent his in. So let me just quickly check. Yeah, he's gone. 2-1 Arsenal. We miss you, Turkish man.
Go on, Lee. Look at Lee.
I hate that man, Turkish now. I can't go 2-0. I think they're going to score. So I am going to go for an epic 3-2 Arsenal winning.
Ooh. An epic 3-2 Arsenal win. Jordan?
What a game to be at. 3-2.
I'm going, I think it'll be a draw, but I'm going to go tactical. I'm going to go Arsenal win.
How's that tactical?
Because I need to keep up with Lee and Turkish. So if Arsenal win and we've all gone for a win, I keep up with them. But if my result is different to theirs, they pull away.
This is the most likely swing in results. Like it could really be any of the three.
True. All right. No, you're right. I'm going for 1-1.
See,
you're right. You did. You You will. Mind games are kicking in already.
2-0 Arsenal. I'm just going to believe and manifest it. This is the game where they went, you thought we were letting you in? No. Going to back the team. Come on.
Come on, Arsenal.
Come on. Big night Wednesday. Big night. I'm excited. I'm not nervous about it. I'm genuinely excited.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, I'm excited about the game. I'm looking forward to it.
We can easily lose.
Mm.
It's just, isn't this what we have wanted? We
Yeah.
just want, how many times have we heard when we're languishing sixth? I just want Arsenal to be competitive. I
Yeah.
just want Arsenal to try. I just want Arsenal to be up there. We're more than up there. And now we've got a massive game at the Emirates in mid-February.
I think Lee mentioned it earlier on, just my final point. We've just got to remind ourselves we are a good team. And we're doing it without our top guy. We are a good team. We're top of the league for a reason. And I just think we need to assert ourselves on Wednesday and let Man City know. You've seen us play well. Now you can actually experience how well we are, because you're on the pitch with us as well. So we just got to remind us we are a good team. Just don't forget that. It's been a poor couple of weeks, but we're a good team, man. Let's not throw it away now.
Statement. I think they call that a statement.
It's a statement, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Forever Arsenal. Forever Arsenal comments of the week. What have we got?
Shall I go first?
Go on, Lee.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not going to pronounce his name because it's impossible to pronounce. So Vipra Karasha, Walla. I think I might have done that. I might have messed that up. But I thought Balancely is back from his post-Everton hole. We really could do with a win at home against the Bees. So City don't have a carrot going ahead of the game. Obviously, we know that that's changed, right? But I think changes might be okay. January window, players can be double-edged sword. Takes, do you know what? Forget about that. That's not it.
I was thinking it's a very good insight.
No, I've actually done the wrong one. I'll tell you what it was. It was something like that. It was saying like, you know, balanced relief. But what he was saying was, I do apologise. It was.
Oh, you remembered that bit, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like, I remember it was a nice bit about me. But what he was saying is, look, Arsenal fans can criticise performances without being negative. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, and I think it was a great point, mate. I'm sorry that I've messed that up, but it was a good point he was saying. You can be critical without being. That doesn't mean to say you're not positive about things. I'm critical, but I'm still positive, like, you know. So that's basically was, and I can't believe that I've screenshotted the wrong one, like. But there you go.
It happens. It happens.
I've done a Lee Mason. I've done a Lee Mason.
It wasn't that bad. I'll go next. I've got a bunch from Christopher. If Jordan were a footballer, he'd be a winger that likes to cut.
I see that one.
That was mine.
I like that one.
Brilliant. That was brilliant, that one.
That's a good one.
No, I'll be honest, that was my one.
That was it. Okay.
And it was, but Tyler had a comment right under it, which was the way Jordan got me laughing hysterically when he cut off James on purpose. Well played, and I just thought there's a running theme there. All right, we're going to leave it there. It's been a longer podcast than usual, but I think it deserved it with 3-4 huge talk.
Well done, Stricto.
Yes, brother. Nice one.
Thanks for having me, guys, man. And you know what? Just like before we go, I'd just like to say condolences to Turkish and his family, and all those and everyone else also affected in Syria and in Turkey as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Amen.
No, rightly so. We're looking forward to having Turkish back. I believe we'll have him back on the podcast, I think, for the next one as well. Stricter, you've been amazing. Sharoy's been amazing stepping in as well. And we've got a really special Forever Arsenal community here. We see it all in the comment section. I know we read out the funnier ones and all that, but we are seeing the really lovely comments about how rapidly the podcast is growing. And everyone, you know, whether people who step in, us who are here regularly, everyone in the background who helps to make this, you know, put this together from production, Cass as well, and everything, you know, are putting together we believe a very special podcast. And we, you know, appreciate all of you on the journey with us. So big thanks to everyone. We're going to leave it there. Can Arsenal beat Man City? We all think they can. Come on, boys, let's get it done.